I'm Dr. Danny Klittich with Redox here with Jason Cole, and looking forward to chatting about avocado fertility today with you guys. Start by introducing myself. I'm with Redox Chemicals. We're a bionutrient company, and I cover the coastal region from Oxnard up to Salinas, and as an agronomist consulting on fertility inputs, and been with Redox about 5 years. So, and Jason, you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Jason Cole. I'm a third generation avocado and citrus farmer here in Santa Paula, California. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's in Ventura County, about 10 miles east of the city of Ventura. And I also serve on the California Avocado Commission as a board member or a director. And I'm also currently the secretary. So
Thanks.
yeah, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about your farming operation and kind of where we're standing, I guess, in it.
Yeah, no problem. So this would be the southeastern tip of what we just kind of call Cole Ranch. We farm a little under 1,000 acres. It's primarily avocados, right around 750 acres of avos, and then about 150 acres of lemons. And then we also run a small cow-calf operation on some of our rangeland that we have behind the property. That's pretty much it.
Okay. What about this block? So what are we standing here next to? What's the rootstock? I guess, age?
All right. Yeah. So this is the like I said, the southeast corner of our ranch. So this is in between about 2 miles east of the city of Santa Paula, right off the 126, where 126 meets Timber Canyon Road. And this is a block of Duke 7s that were interplanted between lemons that we were going to rip out the following year back in 2011. So these trees will be having their 9th birthday right around June 1st is when they went in the ground back in 2011. So
great. So the purpose of today's webinar is we wanted to chat about fertility inputs in avocados, talk about kind of the evolution of fertility inputs over the years, and kind of where we've gone from maybe just nitrogen inputs to kind of where Jason is today, what that has reflected on yield, tree quality, overall management of the orchard, and how that kind of what that interplay looks like. I think that we've had some interesting changes here on the Cole properties over the years, and with the amount of ground that Jason covers and farms, he's had a lot of room to kind of play with different things and be able to compare some stuff on scale, on an industry, on an operation scale, and see kind of where that helps out with his farming.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was hoping to talk about today. Maybe you could start by just maybe talking kind of at the beginning, kind of what it looked like kind of when you came on and started making changes and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I came back to the ranch in 2009. We were operating on kind of what I think is referred to in Ventura County as the grower standard. At least that's what they called it back then in terms of fertility, where we were putting out roughly 30 gallons an acre, which was about 100 units of nitrogen every year. We would do 3 10-gallon shots of UN32, primarily June, July, August. And then we would, after each shot of nitrogen, follow again in June, July, and August with about 10 gallons an acre of KTS. So it was that kind of 30 gallons of UN32, 30 gallons KTS. And then here and there, if we had a heavy crop load, we would throw out some Thiacal. Right when I was coming out of school, there was kind of talk already about calcium, kind of bullying potassium off of soil particles, right? So we were, experimenting with throwing Thiacal out there, and a little bit of zinc when necessary, but most of our zinc is just put on in our thrip spray, which usually takes place end of May, beginning of June in this area. And then I guess the evolution, it started with most of our ranches, back then we were farming roughly 300 acres, primarily avocados, not a lot of citrus. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Most of since then, we've about tripled our planted acreage. And as we've expanded and purchased ranches, there's been a lot of reclamation and changing. And what I was going to say earlier was a lot of the trees that we had planted were all just kind of like Mexican seed stock. We didn't really have any clonal rootstocks planted. So this was our first foray into just planting like a Duke 7 and a clonal rootstock. And that alone has been a huge change. Duke 7s really like it here. So this 42 acres went in. And then since then, we've ripped out another 50 acres of lemons on this ranch and put in another 50 acres of Duke 7 clonal rootstocks as well.
Nice. Nice. So we went kind of from a, you know, P and K or an N and K heavy program, 3 shots each, kind of concentrated over that early summer period.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I think the reasoning for that generally has been rapid fruit sizing is in early summer. So we want to hit it with a lot of potassium then. We also want to cover up our fruit come early summer because we've set it. Bloom is for the most part done by June. And then we are going to start, we want to push vegetative growth to cover up our fruit. So that's been the theory. And I think those are both still sound facts in fertility planning and avocados. But I think that we've seen that as we split out more fertility over the year and try and target some different timings as well, and maybe not have as big of a bump of salts in at a single time, that has paid dividends in the long run. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that on kind of what you've added in, because I think still the base of most avocado fertility programs is UN32 for the most part, or some nitrogen input and KTS. But I think there's a lot that has been brought into the picture in the last decade that has kind of helped to target other needs in the tree. So
absolutely,
maybe talk about that.
Yeah, so that kind of evolved from, like I said, in 2010 is when I took over farming operations with my brother, and so we started some pretty extensive record keeping on just our fertility and then also what our yields were. And right around 2013, 14, at the start of that horrible drought that we all had to deal with, we saw our trees really degrading, and we didn't notice a lot of water quality issues. We have pretty solid water here in the Santa Clara Valley, so we didn't know what was going on. And we were, though, building salts in our soil, but not chlorides. We had a lot of just sodium that was building up, and so that was kind of creating an issue for us. And like I said, treehouse was degrading, and our first kind of, I guess, foray into unique or different stuff would have been using a liquid humus product that was heavy in fulvic and humic acids. And one thing I really liked about that, or at least the selling point, was an agronomist friend of mine from college, who's one of my best friends, was like, hey, he's probably one of the smartest guys, him and Danny, I would say, right? Some of the smartest guys I've ever talked to. And he said, you need to use this, humus product, right, to get these fulvic and humic acids out there. And I was drawn to it because we have such a great mulch litter right on the ground. And even though this gentleman came from San Joaquin Valley with an expertise in almonds, he was like, they use this in no-till farming in the Midwest, right, to help speed up the decomp of stalks and thrash that's left in the field. And so I thought, hey, this might accelerate our mulch, providing more of the nutrients that are dropped by the tree. So we started basically cutting back KTS and supplementing in liquid humus products to see if we could get a better uptake with the KTS as it was mixed with this humic and fulvic acids. And we were pretty pleased with that, but we were getting much healthier trees and a really good fruit set, but we were really struggling on our sizing. To give you kind of an example of what we were dealing with is in 2018 in this very block, I had to go back and look at my notes. We had about 1,000 bins come off 42 acres, but we were running a 48% size 48 and larger. That's how we look at our fruit, is just, percent of the crop that's above a 48 and bigger, and then what's the 60 and smaller. And so that was not the best. We thought we could do better. I heard that there was maybe someone who could help me do better. And that's when I was introduced to Danny a couple years ago. And do you want me to just keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Kind of
I'm not going to slow you down after that compliment.
Yeah. So what happened was after the 2000, we had the Thomas fire. This ranch wasn't affected. We lost a lot of other stuff that we were dealing with. And then in 2018, we had that heat wave here on the Central Coast where it got up to,
I think we can still see some of that.
Yeah, there's still some burn. We did no pruning afterwards. But we got up to about 117 degrees here, and it didn't get below 95 for 72 hours, about 3 days. So despite that, this block did really well. We lost about half the fruit that was set on the tree, but we had finished picking 2018's crop 2 weeks before that heat wave hit. So we basically lost half of 2019's crop. So we went from 1,000 bins in 18 down to 250 bins in 19. And we were really worried there was going to be a lot of budwood damage and the trees weren't going to recover, but they came roaring back. And now we're looking at we'll be done picking this block on Friday. We've been in here for 2.5 weeks, and it's looking like we're going to be somewhere between 13 and 1,400 bins. What did we change because of that big fruit set, right, that I saw last year? On Danny's rec, we started, well, we can start, it was the calcium, right? Calcium was the big one, that free calcium in the soil and its effect on early bloom, set, and retention. And so we started, I switched from UN32 to Can 17. Instead of 3 shots a year on my nitrogen, I went to like 7 shots a year. So I was doing like 7-gallon injections. And I stretched those out from basically May all the way into October.
Okay. Yeah.
And
so,
then,
yeah, so we added a lot of calcium in, and I guess the consideration there was drop has always been a big issue. It gets really windy here, so wind induced drop is a really big deal, and also for leaf tattering and leaf stripping, we wanted more calcium in that program to just kind of maintain tree stability. So and then calcium also plays a critical role early in fruit development, like you were saying. So around bloom time and that early fruit development period, that's really when we're talking about putting calcium, now through June or something like that, or maybe a little bit longer. And so that was kind of the first kind of addition into that program, I guess, was, and the goal, I mean, we can see that in the orchard. It's hard to see over webinar, but the leaf, the stems on the leaves are substantially thicker. I don't think they're going to be able to see this. Our quality is not going to be that great, but on the leaves are much thicker and a lot more well attached to the tree. And we also see on fruit, that won't embarrass Jason. So we also see on the fruit that the stem attachment on the fruit is also a lot better size and has a lot harder time breaking off. I mean, it's stuck on there well. We also see that the quality of the fruit has increased as well. I think with the added calcium, we see a lot better kind of wax layer on the fruit. Sunburn, and also having more leaves helps with sunburn. So overall, just a better quality pack out with the addition of calcium into a program.
We've been really pleased. We've had no wind drop this year. It's gotten really windy. We get the Santa Anas here in Santa Paula, so we hit 50, 60 miles an hour. I want to say regularly, but we've done it a few times this season. Another interesting component about this block is, we got 5 inches of rain, about 2.5 weeks ago. And last week we hit 100 degrees out here, and we didn't pre-irrigate these trees, and we have no drop. We have no loss of leaves. This block will be getting water tomorrow. And pretty much just because we wanted to see what would happen. They look so healthy. I wouldn't, recommend it, but we kind of do stuff like that where, what can the tree take? But after the calcium, building up the leaf strength, the other thing was getting our fruit size up. And Danny recommended a product called DiCap, which is just really plant accessible potassium.
Correct.
So we started running DiCap rather than just doing the 3 shots of KTS. Last year, we hit the trees with a straight shot of KTS right around April, right as we were starting to get fruit set. And then following up end of May, end of June, end of July, we came back through with another 10 gallons an acre about of KTS, but we added in 2 pounds an acre of DiCap. So DiCap's not the cheapest product out there.
That's true.
Any of you who use it will know that. So it was definitely like, we basically spent on DiCap the equivalency of what we spent on KTS. So we put out, 40 gallons of KTS, whatever a gallon, and we probably put out we doubled our potassium budget. I will say that in the scenario, it was absolutely worth it. This block is now, like I said, we see about a 40% increase in fruit set from 2018, which would have been our last on year. And our size curve is running, I'm not totally positive because we haven't finished picking, but we're right now projecting to be right around 70 to 75% size 48s and up, where we were just about 50% 48s and up in 2018. And so
we're up on size and up on pounds.
Yeah, so we're up on pounds. Yeah, so pounds are up, or bins. So just bins, right? Bins are going to be up about 30% across this block, maybe more, right? Somewhere between 30 and 40. And then from 2018's harvest, and size, our size curve jumped to where basically we have 30% more 48s and up than we did in 2018.
Very nice.
No size picking goes on in this block. This has all been a strip. So we started picking in April, right around the second week of April. And then that 2018 harvest, I had to go back and look at my records, but we picked that the middle of June. So basically June 6th through like June 22nd of 2018. So fruit's been on the tree 2 months long, 2 months shorter than it was in 18. And we have this massive jump in the size curve. So I know we've gotten a bunch of good rains, and it's just a pretty staggering. It's blowing me away. I know my grandfather and my father have been out here, and they've, like, you know, they're saying they have more experience than me. They've never seen this much fruit with this much size this early on. And it's kind of nice when you can just start stripping stuff. You know, for us, it's kind of a necessity to get through a lot of the land. We have to. We don't size pick at all. And so this is nice, and we get a lot better bloom, I think. We're really excited about the set for next year. So
yeah, bloom has been coming on fast this last 2 weeks. It was, you know, we had a heat wave over the weekend, and then last week, starting Tuesday, it went from, you know, highs in the 60s to highs in the 80s, and nighttime lows went into the 60s instead of into the low 50s. So it was a big change last week. Spring got here in a hurry, and now summer's pretending to be here. Hopefully spring comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's, you know, we worked on tree strength to deal with the wind and fruit retention and leaf retention, as well as is that good?
Yeah. You never chew on them?
No, I never chew on them. No.
That's like a toothpick.
Is that okay? Now I'll be good. I lost my toothpick, so now whenever I'm in an avocado orchard, I'm good to go.
Taste that die cap.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, and then, you know, looking at size, right? If we have more fruit, we got to size them out. So that was kind of the two major goals. We've had some unique ground that we've kind of helped to manage with. Avocados are growing on hillsides throughout the state, and with that comes with kind of a lot of variability in soil types. And we've seen that here on some of your upper blocks that are more up in the hillsides, where we have this general slide area here in between Fillmore and Santa Paula has fairly consistent soil type over the whole thing, because it's a prehistoric slide. But when we get up kind of more onto some more older soils up in the foothills, we see some big variability in soil type, and we've used soil testing to kind of inform that decision, and really had some nice insight, you know, execution of plans, and then long-term yield and results out of that. I wanted to kind of mention that here towards the end of this. I don't want to keep you guys too long, so we'll start wrapping it up here soon. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about your rocky flat block and kind of what that challenge looked like.
Yeah. So big development. This went in around 2015, 2014. Is about 100 acres up in the highlands. Some basically a big mesa that was reclaimed cattle pasture. There's tons of rocks, so we had a lot of land movement that went on, a lot of ripping of soil, probably too deep. All this occurred in the middle of the drought. We didn't pre-irrigate or do any sort of leach before. So when we planted those trees, we had tree losses of upwards of 20%. Like, it was kind of a disaster. It's really embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, it was kind of me and my brother's first stab at a full block development on our own with irrigation and everything, and it didn't go very well. But started working with Danny. The trees were doing that thing, which I'm sure a lot of us wonder why it happens. And, you know, it's obviously a form of stress when they look really healthy, you know, going into the winter, and then in the spring they just do this massive bloom, and you have all this leaf drop, and then you just have this tree that's getting sunburned and is covered in flowers and not really putting leaves back on. And so for, you know, 2-3 years we were going up and down, back and forth. And then Danny and me did some soil testing, dove into it. We had this is the ranch we had the really high sodium levels on. Not chlorides, just
sodium,
just straight Na+. And we ran some Soilex, which was leaching, fancy.
Yeah, has a bunch of humic acid and other soluble carbon, and some soil surfactants and some other products in there to help grab the sodium, blow it through the rooting zone.
And then after that, we really babied the trees, and we basically took Redox and Danny's establishment blend, which is the H85 dicap and Rutex, and then juiced it up a little bit because the trees were older, and we followed that Soilex, like that deep drench, with that product. And I think we just kind of got soil biology and everything back in order. And the trees over the last year have just amazingly responded. We couldn't be happier. You know, all our replants are doing better. Everything is going great. And so now we just kind of, you know, leach up there, do a Soilex treat, and wash them at the end of every year before the rains. And then let, hopefully, you know, good winter rains finish the job. And then we just come back in and just keep on babying them. Probably the hardest thing I've learned with a lot of these things is, you know, I don't know if it's timing. I try not to give Danny and Redox all the credit, but there's been a lot of changes. You know, we've put soil moisture sensing technology out in our field. We're irrigating differently. You know, we're switching into clonal rootstocks, which are fantastic. You know, we're getting great trees from Brocon Nursery that are just thriving. And you know, we've planted Toro Canyon, Duke 7s, and Deuces, and they all are doing wonderful. So we couldn't be happier there. But I think it's just a lot of times we looked at in the past, and even talking with my family, you know, the old adage of like a penny saved is a penny earned, but sometimes, you know, a penny invested will earn a lot more than that penny you're saving. And so just making that move, and especially talking to my neighbors and other people, because, you know, what we have going on isn't unique. This is, you know, I've heard rumors of other ranches, and I've met guys in the industry and talked to them and seen it. And I guess I just wanted to encourage everybody to keep trying, because there's a lot of really good, unique stuff that's coming out of the fertilizer and nutrient world. And they're starting to get some stuff down that was, you know, new science maybe a decade ago, but and we've just been really pleased. And it's,
and we've seen the return on investment there. I mean, so that's
yeah,
part of it, right? Is
well,
like you mentioned before, die cap it. When you look at it, there can be some sticker shock there.
Yeah.
But if you look at it per acre over the season and the overall investment, and then the result, it makes the decision a little, you know, it lightens up that decision a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of intangibles, like having the size. You know, we waited till June, right, in 18 to pick this fruit, and we're like very unpleased, right, with this block size curve. And so to be able to come in here in April, get fruit off the tree, you know, we had a cool end of winter, right? So now, like, a lot of these trees down below where we've already harvested, they had no bloom, and now they're starting to push again. So we're getting excited just about the opportunity to get maybe another good set for next year, because by giving them what they need to grow this year, you can get this fruit off earlier, and it just makes the trees happier, in my opinion.
Oh, sounds accurate to me. So I think we'll end it there.
All right.
I think so. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email's in the RSVP link. If you have any questions, send them there, and Jason and I'll try and get back to you if you had any comments you'd like. Sorry if it cut out on the internet here. Avocados aren't grown in usually the best area with internet service. So we'll talk to Jason about trying to get a next purchase, that next ranch you guys get, make sure the cell service is better. So,
you got it.
Yeah, but thanks for tuning in. Happy to help with any questions you might have. And Jason, thank you very much. I'm not going to shake your hand.
Yeah, no problem.
You already stood too close. It's okay.